Hi everyone, I'm Carly Bell and I love to do machine embroidery tutorials. And today we are stepping outside of my comfort zone, very much outside of my comfort zone of embroidery. And we're doing binding, specifically bias binding. So welcome, welcome. Thanks for everyone. I see Patricia and Stacy and Dee and Liz. Thank y'all so much for being here. So sorry about yesterday. Let's talk about it. So if you're first off, this is a sew along for the beautiful Star Spangled Beauty ladder quilt from Kimberbell. We have been working on since the middle of April. I've been going live 2 to 3 times a week, and we've been working on sections of this quilt. Today is the last class. It is the last step, and it is the one that I am the most nervous about, but it's okay. It's going to be fine. And today we are adding the binding, and you can't see it right now because we still have to trim it, but the top and bottom of this quilt have a scalloped edge, and it's gorgeous. And the picture example from the book make this, I mean, this is one of the things that made me fall in love with the quilt, but you see it at the bottom there, the scalloped. It's also at the top, but you can't see it in that picture. It's so pretty. Now, binding, I tend to struggle with in general. Normal, what you may call it, the easiest binding, I struggle with. Today, we are tackling something way beyond my comfort zone. And the first bit is making bias binding tape. And then we're going to sew that binding tape on here on the scalloped border. So I'm sure this is scary for many more people than just myself. So I'm like, let's just go live. Let's do it. So I was supposed to go live yesterday. I had planned on teaching this class yesterday. However, when I woke up early and when 10 o'clock rolled around, I was like, I am not ready. I'm not ready. So I postponed. I took the day and concentrated solely on bias binding tape. I did it all day long. I went through it 4 times. I finally think I might have a grasp on it. And then I went to my quilting class last night that I've been participating with in New Orleans. I'm doing my first quilting class, and I talked to Laura about it, who's the owner of the quilt shop and teaching the class. And she's like, okay, you sound like you got it now. I showed her pictures of all my steps and everything. So I think I can show you now. But yesterday I was not ready. So thanks for all of your patience. For those of y'all that were looking for me yesterday and was like, where did she go? I'm back, but I'm still nervous. So just bear with me. Let's see. Yay, we got to get this done. Right, Linda. Right. Okay. So bias binding tape. I have made regular binding tape before. It is not hard. It is strips of fabric. But I am having an education on fabric grain lately, especially in my quilting class. It's nothing I've ever thought of before, nothing that has been specifically discussed at any point in any of my crafts. But fabric grain is important, and I probably should use like a real piece from, let's grab, I've cut into all the fabrics. Let's see. Is this one still has a selvage. Okay. So let's go here. All right. Here is a piece of fabric and the selvage. Normally on the other end of this, there would also be selvage, but it wouldn't look the same. This one has the name of the designer and everything. And then the other end is usually has a little bit of a frayed bit with some dots, but sometimes it's a little bit harder to tell. And now all my true quilting friends out there that understand this a lot better, please chime in if you think I'm not explaining something correctly, or you can say it better or easier to understand. But the grain, like when I was at my quilting class, they were like, cut it. It's best to cut it with the grain. And so that direction would be from selvage to selvage, right? Now the fabric is woven, so it it has things going this way, but things you can also tell, they said sometimes about like if you can pull off like a piece from the end, that would be this side where the selvage was. You'd be able to pull it off. Now, normally with normal binding strips, I would just cut 2.5-inch strips this way, right? But because we are going to be sewing on a curve today, we want the fabric to give us the most amount of stretch. And in order to achieve that, we don't want our strips to go straight this way. We want to actually cut our strips at an angle. So like this way. So I turned it. So say I leave it like this. We want to cut our strips at a diagonal from the selvage, and that's going to give us the most stretch. For example, this is some that I made yesterday. And let's see, I have like a jelly roll somewhere. I don't think those are cut on the bias, right? Are jelly rolls cut on the bias? No. Okay. So this is a strip from a jelly roll, right? This is a 2.5-inch strip. This could work for binding, right? When I pull it, you see how tight it is? It doesn't have any give. It doesn't really have any stretch. This I cut on the bias yesterday. So I cut it on an angle. Watch when I pulled this one. Like I have a lot more give and stretch. So this is going to give me so much more flexibility when sewing around a curve so that I can pull it and stretch it to go around that curve, and it's going to lay flat and nice because it has more give to it. So Joanna, did I explain that well? She's my quilty friend. So that is what I understand the difference between normal binding strips and bias binding strips is we have a lot more stretch in these. At least I feel it. Like I don't know how well it translates on camera, but I can feel that there's no stretch or give in this. Okay. Now, yesterday was my first time ever attempting to cut bias. And I had gotten some tips from my friend Laura at the quilt shop. And I liked her tip, but when I got to actually open up the fabric that came with the fabric kit for this Kimberbell quilt, the shape and size of the fabric was not very conducive to doing this technique that Laura had shown me. What Laura had shown me was, let's use a sheet of paper as an example. What Laura had shown me is that if you, this worked best with fabric that was probably at a square. Let's actually cut into this like it was fabric. I got a old rotary blade. Here it is that I cut paper with. Okay, so this is 5. All right, so I'm gonna cut this like it's a square. All right, so say we had a square piece of fabric. We could cut it at an angle. So I have this 45-degree line here. I don't know if I could do that. I'll just line it up. So you want to cut from corner to corner. Okay, and with this, we're looking at it as, I think, the selvage being here to here. And so we're cutting it at an angle. And I think I'm thinking of this right. She said, so you cut your square and now take this and move it over here and sew those pieces together and then cut your strips going this way. You kind of create a parallelogram. We are kind of doing this method today, but it's going to be for a very skinny, long rectangle. So this was one method that she showed me and I saw online. Have your square, or it could be a rectangle too, cut it at a diagonal and move it to the other side. Sew these two pieces together and then cut your strips this way. Okay, does that make sense? Now, this would have been really nice if my fabric would have been somewhat square. My fabric was a very, very skinny 14-inch wide width of fabric. So 14 inches by about 42 inches. So a super long, skinny rectangle. So we're going to do something similar. We're going to cut at an angle and move it to the other side, but we can't cut the whole thing at a diagonal. We're just going to cut a triangle off the end as much as we can with the 14 inches that we're working with. Another method that I saw that I think I saw a Kimberbell video, and they started with a fat quarter. Do I have a fat quarter? That's not messed up. Let's see. Yeah, here's a freshie. A freshie. This all stitched up by Angela. May she rest in peace. Not Angela, but the shop. Angela is fine. This was one of my favorite stores to buy fabric, but it closed down. Poopy. Okay. This is a fat quarter. Fat quarters are what? 18 inches by 21 or 24, something like that. Now I might butcher this because again, I never did these methods. I just watched tutorials on them to get a lay of the land with all of the different ways. But they talked about taking a corner and folding it like this. Line it up. And then they talked about taking the corner again. You got to take the folded edge each time. So you can do this. And then I think you can fold it again. I don't know how many times we can fold it. Now I'm trying, my memory is escaping me, but it was something about folding it several times. And then your folded edge, you would end up trimming just a smidge off of it, just to make it open now because it's all folded, and cut yourself some strips going this way. You're not going to get very far, but the length of these strips are going to be fairly long. So you can get, I want to say she said something crazy like a few yards out of one fat quarter. I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly, but like I said, I saw some methods that looked fairly straightforward using a fat quarter. Now the problem is if you shrunk down the fabric I was working with, this was the size. Okay, well actually this was the size because this is what we're going to use today. This was about the proportions of the size of fabric I was working with, and it's very skinny and long. So when I tried the fold method, like I could only get that far. Like that was it. That was as much as I could get. So that wasn't going to work. And I thought about cutting it into squares, but I would have had multiple squares to try Laura's method. So the method that I decided on that was going to work best for me in my situation, which is this long, skinny piece of fabric, is what's called continuous sewing in a way that's going to make a tube, and it's going to make a continuous binding strip. So what that means is normally when I was making binding strips before, I would cut the strips, then I would lay one this way, and I would lay one this way, and I would sew at a diagonal. And I always mess this up. That's why I say I struggle with regular binding. It's sewn in a way where it looks, let me find a piece, like this when they're connected. Can you see that seam there? It's sewn in a way where you would connect those pieces like that. We're not going to do that today. So if you are wanting to know how to connect your strips, refer back to one of the binding videos from my other sew-alongs. Today, we're doing something completely different. And that when we're done, we're going to have this is all going to be connected already. We're going to take steps ahead of time so that this is connected. The one thing I don't love about this method, though, is we are going to be hand cutting this with scissors. There's going to be no rotary happening cutting strips. It's going to be hand cut, which is not perfect. But because this is binding, we're going to end up folding this. The raw edge is going inside the quilt. No one's going to see how crappy of a job I cut this. It's going to fold over and nobody's going to know. Okay. So that is what we're working with today. Something else I wanted to point out. This book constantly refers to the guide. The guide. It's everywhere in here. You see it in orange. Kimberbell Resource Guide PDF. Guide. It's all over in the book. Refer to the guide. When you get to the spot with the binding, which is here. Binding scallops is a learned skill. This technique requires time and patience, so go slowly. By the way, this class is probably going to be very long. I'm going to try to go quickly. But we recommend practicing on scrap fabric before the actual quilt. I did not practice the actual scallop bit. I practiced the making the binding. So we're just going to go with it. It says refer to the guide, and it gives you this QR code. The little video, I'm sorry, was not super helpful. And she mentions in the video, there's a page in the guide that goes over how to cut bias binding or cutting on the bias. She mentions that in the video. So then I open up the PDF that came with this, and I'm looking, there is absolutely nothing in there about bias. They have just the normal traditional binding, nothing about sewing on the bias, nothing about sewing scallops, any of that stuff. So then I did a little more research, and it turns out they're constantly updating this resource guide that I mentioned. They're constantly updating it. So the one that came with my code to download all the digital files for this was an older version. It had nothing in it about bias. So I went to the Kimberbell website, Google did a search for the resource guide. It's a free download. Downloaded it, checked it out. That one has the information on cutting on the bias. And this has the fold method, and it shows her, which I've already determined was not helpful for me in my situation. So if you are looking for things that it's saying refer to the guide and you don't see it in the guide, it may be because you have an older version of it. And let me show you what it looks like. Okay, so let me move this over here and make it to where y'all can see. Let me use my mouse. Okay, so this was a PDF that came with all my digital files, right? All my things I got with this quilt. And when you get to the table of contents, you see they have binding instructions on page 40. But when you scroll to page 40, there's nothing about on the bias. This shows you how to make binding tape, though. This is helpful. Nothing about that. So when I downloaded the newer guide, the way you can tell, the front is the same. The table of contents page looks different. There's more to it. And they have a lot more in binding, including cutting on the bias. And that was the page that I printed out for y'all, page 46. So this threw me off yesterday, so I just wanted to tell you about it in case it throws you off too. All right, so getting back to our situation, and I'm going to show you this continuous method. And as with all techniques, this may not be for everyone and you might hate this. So by all means, if you have a method that you like, go with the method that you like. I'm just going to show you what I decided to do yesterday and just committed to. All right. And I did it so many times yesterday, you would think it would be engraved in my memory, but it's not. So I wrote notes, so hopefully I don't mess up. Okay. For this project, if you got the fabric kit, your strip of fabric that you got was 14 inches by width of fabric. You're going to need all of it, and you're going to want to press and starch it, starch and press or whatever beforehand. Get it all nice. No interfacing, just the fabric. Then you are going to want to trim the selvage on both ends. Now, what I'm doing for demonstration purposes is a much smaller piece for time so that I can show you this in a much shorter amount of time than it took me to make this. This is the binding for today's quilt. But I do want to show you step by step how I got here, but I didn't want to make it to where it was 3 hours of just making this. So I scaled it down. So it's still kind of the same proportion. So you still get the gist of how awkward it is with this size fabric. But when I timed myself yesterday, it took me 20 minutes to make it this small. So step one is to cut off the selvage, which on this one, it's only on one side because I need my rotary blade. I brought it to my class, my quilting class last night. Okay. This and this. Okay. And I am trimming off the selvage. As little bit as I can. And Joanna, I've replaced my blade on my thing. It's cutting a lot better now. Okay, so once you have this pressed and the selvage cut off, now we're going to start with cutting a 45-degree angle on one end. So kind of similar to what we did with the paper earlier, where we cut it and we moved it. We're going to cut just one triangle from the end here and move it to the other side. Okay, so we're not cutting the whole thing out of diagonal. We're just cutting a 45-degree triangle here. And this is something else that's not normally in my wheelhouse, but using my rulers to cut at a 45. So this ruler has this 45-degree line. I want to line up that line with the bottom of my fabric. And I need things to not be in the way in order to do this. All right, so I'm lining up the bottom and I'm lining up this corner here. So if I cut here, that's going to give me a nice 45-degree angle. Okay, I think that looks good. All right. Now, we've done that. We're going to take this guy and slide, keep it just how it is, and slide it over here. And so we have created a parallelogram. Back to geometry. So I think that's right, huh? Parallelogram or a rhombus? One of those. I think parallelogram. Okay, so that's what we've done. We've taken this triangle we cut here, keep it just how it is, same direction, and we're moving. Joanna says she's so proud of me. That gives me all the feels. Thank you. All the feels. I'm growing. I'm growing. Just like I helped a lot of people tell me I helped them grow with their embroidery. Y'all are helping me grow with my sewing and quilting, and I love it. Thank y'all. Okay, so we've moved it over. Now we're gonna right sides together, line up those edges there. So just flip it right over, right sides together, and we're gonna sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance right here. And I'm gonna be a good girl and pin. I used my pins last night to make some half square triangles. Let's see, I'm actually going to be sewing from this direction. It is definitely a learning process. Okay, so I'm going to take this to my machine and I'm going to sew 1/4 inch. So I have my Stellaire. Now I'm just going to sewing. I'm going to my piecing stitch, which is a 2 mm length. And okay. And I promise I took the most abundant amount of care when I was sewing my real, cutting and sewing my real fabric. I really, really took my time. I'm not going to be doing that right now because for the sake of time. But I want you, if you're new to this like I am, practice on some scrap fabric first. And trust me, I did it 4 times on the scraps to make sure that I was doing this right. And what I did the first time was I I cut another piece of fabric that I had, the width of fabric, 14 inches. So I went through that whole process with the same dimensions as what I knew I had to work with. And I made this. But it turned out this particular bolt, I wasn't paying attention, was like 57 inches width from end to end, where my normal stuff is like 42. So this made a lot more tape, but it's super pretty and it's stripy. So I'm going to use this for something. But practice on the size that you think if you have like a piece of fabric, like in this case, that is came with a fabric kit and you're using, cut it so cut a scrap piece so that's the same size so you're like familiar with it. Like I even practiced yesterday with this smaller size fabric to make sure I was doing it right. All right, and I pressed this yesterday and it's not very good anymore. Let's see. All right. So what is next? Press open. I did, yes, I don't think it's necessary, but yesterday I double checked that this was still at a 45-degree angle and I trimmed it if it wasn't, but you're going to end up trimming some of this off in the end anyway, because you're not going to end with a perfect 2.5 wide strip. So I'm not super concerned. One thing I am going to point out though, I've learned some people like to do 2.25 inch binding tape. They like their binding to be tighter. If I was that person, I still would cut 2.5 inch. I would still measure everything 2.5 inch because you're going to see, at least if you're like me, I'm sure there are people that are much better at this than I am. Things don't always line up and there are going to be sections of my tape that's not going to be perfect. And it's going to hit wiggle a little bit, but it's okay because that's not the side, that's not the part that's going to get seen. But I just wanted to put that out there because I like a tighter binding. but I was not comfortable enough to do it with this method. Yay, Patty, she had fun. Oh, let me show you. This is we had our VIP class today. If you're not familiar, I have a membership group where we do a live Zoom class every month. We had our Zoom class this morning. And this month's project is an in the hoop ear holder, mouse head ear holders. So these are in the hoop snap tab project. So they snap. And it was done in 2 hoopings. And the whole purpose of them is so that they hold your mouse ears when you're at Disney World, and you can clip this onto your bag or purse when you're not wearing them so that they don't get messed up in your backpack. So this was fun. We made that this morning. If you'd like more information on my VIP group, there should be a link down below, or you can visit my website, carlybell.com. Okay. So next, press open, double check on the wrong side of the fabric. Ta-da, wrong side. Mark 2.5-inch strips on the angle. So this is already at an angle. We're going with this angle, and we're going to mark 2.5-inch strips. Now you could do this with your marking pen of choice. Yesterday I did everything with a plain old pen. If you want to use a pencil, it might be better, or something that will erase with air. You could do that as well. But I want to make sure you see it, so I'm doing it in a black pen. And drop something. Oh, my thingy. Yeah. Okay, so I have my ruler. This ruler is 6.5 inches wide. So it's really nice. I can line my edge up on this 4-inch mark, and that's 2.5 inches. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I am just moving all my stuff out of the way, and I'm putting this edge of the fabric on my line that I want. You know, you got to figure it out on your ruler. And you want to make sure you have it positioned where because we're at an angle, so I can't be like this, because then I won't have my ruler to get me a line from here to here. So I'm constantly messing up and like looking at my ruler and being like, oh, I need to move up more. So, okay, this black line is on the edge of my fabric, 2.5 inches. And so I am going to draw, trying not to gather the fabric when I'm doing it. So like I'm starting this way and moving up, and starting this way and moving down. So that is my first strip. And now I'm going to put this line on my 4-inch, on my line on my ruler again. And let's see, I need to move up a little bit more to make sure I can draw a line to the top. Okay. And then you just keep going until you finish your fabric. So I want to say, with the real piece for the Kimberbell kit, I ended up having, let's see, I probably can still see it on here, 8 strips I ended up having. Okay. Okay. All right, so this one I'll get what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strips. And you see what I'm talking about, where this edge here is not. Oh, goodness. I'm not talking to you, Siri. That scared me. You can see with this one here, it's not big enough. So I'm going to just trim this off. So I should have just left my ruler there. Okay, got it. And trim. Okay. So here is our now marked parallelogram. Oh, right. Okay, so now we need to number these, and we want to number them at the bottom and the top. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go up here, same corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is the tricky part. This is where I struggled. We want to line up, not necessarily roll it in a tube and line up here to here. We're going to offset it by 1. So I want this number 3 bottom line here. I want to roll this over and line it up to the top of my number 4 line here. And it's the same for all of them. So you're creating like a twisty tube. Okay. To do this, first do something like this. And you're going to see it's way off. Like with this, it's way off. This is a 1 and this is a 3. This is a 2 and a 4. So I need to twist it in a different way so that here we go. Something like this. So let's zoom in so you can see the numbers. Do you see that tiny 4 there and that tiny 3? That's a tiny 3 and a tiny 2. This is the 1 and the 2. And if I go this way, this 4 will, this 4 lines up with the edge of this one. This is what we're creating. We're creating this twisty tube thing. Okay. Now we want to sew, from this point all the way around. We're going to sew that with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. The trick is lining these up and keeping them there. So what I've done is I kind of start in the middle, and these 2 lines, I want them to be connected, and I will pinch one side. Let me get my pins ready. I tried it a bunch of different ways yesterday, but it seemed like no matter what I did, shifting was going to happen. But I really want this guy to go to this guy. And so like I got a pin right there, like going straight to it. But the problem is I got to pinch this. And I'm just trying to keep it where I wanted it to go together. And I need to pin it this way. So like that. So even if I kind of lay it flat, it still kind of lines up. Like I said, this is where I struggle. And I tried to be as precise as possible yesterday, but I still struggled with getting this to be spot on. But I quickly learned I could be perfectly spot on. And because this is on the bias, it's still going to get pulled and tugged and shifted. Okay, so now I am guiding off of that. And the more pins, the better. So same thing, I'm making sure this guy still lines up. And now you'll have to twist with it. And try not to pull the fabric too much because remember it is stretchy. Okay. All right, so there's that. And then I still have to pin this side. Okay, so this is all pinned. You can see we've made our tube. We're trying to make our strips all connect to each other in that way. And now we're going to sew where our pins are a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Linda, you crack me up. Um, I'm holding the mouse the wrong way. Um, Linda says, what's a good source for more binding fabric? Asking for a friend. Yeah. You can buy more binding fabric. If you haven't started yet though, do it on scrap fabric. Do it on scrap fabric like 2 times. But I'm pretty sure my girlfriend's quilt shop, Fat Quarter Shop, um, all those online places that sell Kimberbell will have yardage of the actual fabric. And it's this one that we're doing the binding with. You should be able to get yardage of this. Okay, thank you. A+4 geometry. uh, right? All the prairie women ancestors with no powers. Rock on, ladies. Yes. Okay. Looks like I need to buy more binding fabric. Okay, Joanna, let's see. Remember, with a 14-inch width of fabric, the tube won't be quite as narrow. Yeah, so like this is the miniature version of what I did yesterday. This is just for the sake of time. You're going to have more room to work with. It's not going to be as awkward. Okie dokie. All right, now let's go sew this sucker. And this was also like awkward, which is that I'm telling y'all, I practiced with everything yesterday. I practiced with a piece of fabric this big. I practiced with my real piece, practiced with pieces that were too big. Okay. All right, and this is going to be constantly stopping and turning and flattening out and all that. So just have a little patience. And I still, whatever you see me do right now, I did 10 times slower yesterday. So just know that. I just want you to be flat. In one spot. There you go. Had one little crease that was not getting out my way. And how am I doing with, can y'all actually see? Tell me if my shoulder's in the way too. Okay, I got a little. Okay, the end is right past that 4. I don't remember if I did locking and everything at the beginning of end of this, but this is what we're left with. This contraption. So, can you see? So once it's put together, it don't look that awful. But pinning it and everything is like so awkward. And then you want to press the seams open. If I can get them open, come on. Okay, there we go. And remember, this is tiny version. Yours won't be as awkward when you're working with the bigger piece of fabric. And then let me tell, for the friends that are going to go ahead and order more, get a bigger piece. It would be so much easier if I just made it with even get the a couple, get a half a yard and cut yourself a square. And then you could cut the strips going across and then what you call, sew them together like we do all the other binding strips. You could do that as well. Just cut the strips on the angle. And then you could use your rotary blade and then you would just connect your pieces like you do normal binding. Okay, so this is done. And then this is the kind of stranger part. Where are my fabric scissors? Here they are. We are going to cut this and just follow the yellow brick road. We're following the line. Okay. Like this one is already a little off. Let's see. Let me cut the stitches. Okay. And then you just want to make sure you're only cutting through the layer you're meant to cut through and not the other side of your tube. And this is the part I want to show you, like no matter how much care I took. So this one's a little, can you see like this is off? This is a little bit off. This one, that one's okay. Like no matter how much care I took where it met, where we just did that seam, it was still a little off, but I just tried to keep my cutting steady and I would like eventually make up for it here. Like now I've met it and that's where my line was. So that's where I'm like the overall width is not going to end up being perfect, but I was okay with it because that's not affecting the actual finished binding really. Okay, so does everybody see why I was scared yesterday? So I know I'm scaring people off right now. But I want to reassure you, practicing made me feel a lot better about this. And at the end of the day, I got it done. Am I going to want to make more bias binding in the future? Probably not as much, but if I do, I'm going to start with a different size piece of fabric. um, so let's see. Arva said, should you sew the tube, then make the stripes? I think that would be a lot harder to do. I think you have to mark your stripes first. I don't think I could sew the tube correctly without at the right angle. Because remember, we had to line up one, this strip with this side at an offset and everything. Like, I don't think I'd be able to mark it after. I don't think I'd sew it right to begin with. But in the end, we have one continuous piece. It's all sewn together already, and you pressed it, so it's all good to go, and it's stretchy on the bias. Okay. So yeah, Patricia's like, I'm panicking. I panicked all day yesterday for y'all. So don't panic. I did all the panicking. Um, but like I said, there are lots of methods out there. This this literally never did this before in my life until yesterday. And the only reason why I'm showing you now is because I practiced a few times to get to a point to where Patricia says, so can you do one more and just mail it to me? For you, Patricia, yes, yes. Um, so this I got really like frustrated yesterday because I was looking at methods and then like some of them I would look at and it totally like nothing clicked at all right away. So you may feel like that right now. This may not be clicking for you. But I went to, what was the website? The website was Obsessive Quilter. Let me bring this over here. This is where I first found it. And then I found the oldest Missouri Star Quilt Company video. So this is the Obsessive Quilter, and it's a bias binding tutorial. She gives a few different methods. Look, she gives the traditional, she cuts there, cut the piece out first. You can simply cut out stripes from each section, but it's faster to flip one on top of the other, carefully lining up the bias edge and cut both at one time. Okay, so she did that. So you'll keep doing this, but then look at all the lengths of these, and then you have to join all those together. So that didn't look fun to me, but that's what she did. But the cool thing about it being cut on an angle is that this was probably a little easier to sew, but you still have little dogs. Okay, so that was what method did she call that? The traditional cut strips. Then the continuous. This is what I did. She cut a triangle off one end, moved it to the other end to create the parallelogram. Oh, look, trapezoid. That's it, trapezoid. Then sewed those pieces, pressed it open, marked the strips like I did, cut off any end that doesn't match up. And then this is where she talked about how you need to match up each marked line to offset the opposite edge. I place a pin at 1/4 inch from the edge along my line and then have the pin come out at the 1/4 inch line on the other edge. Here, my markings. Oh, so I think I understand what she's saying here. That might help me line things up better. I'll play with that. Once everything's pinned, then you sew it, and this is the tube, and then you press it open, and then you cut, and then you have the strips. This is what we just did. And then I think this is Laura's method where you cut at a 45-degree angle across the fabric from corner to corner. Then move the triangle to the other side, creating the parallelogram. And then press the seam open and then just cut your strips. So Find which method works for you. And say, I don't know what she did up here. She didn't cut all the way to the edge. And then she sewed those and then cut it. Yeah, that's smart. So there are so many different ways. And then I think I looked up continuous bias tape on YouTube, and that's when I found an old Jenny Doan, Missouri's quilt company, and I really got to visualize what that tutorial with the step-by-step pictures was showing me, because it still wasn't clicking in my head. And when I saw that video, then I was like, okay, I think I can at least attempt this one. So that's what I did. And that is our bias binding tape. And like I said, I took a lot more care yesterday and created it with the fabric that we're doing here. So ready to move on to actually sewing the binding tape to the quilt. One thing we need to do before that, though, is trim. What?
Hi.
Hi. I forgot to tell y'all, Elise is here. She is out of school. She is knocking on my door every 5 minutes. No, you're not. You've been good. What's up?
Hi.
Hi. Can I finish?
I'm bored.
You're bored? You know what happens when you tell me you're bored?
Don't.
Is your room clean?
Yeah.
You cleaned all your stuff?
Bye bye.
Yeah, that's what I thought. She knows better. Don't tell me you're bored. I'll find something to do for you. Abigail's actually cleaning the whole house right now because her birthday party is tomorrow. She's having a bunch of girlfriends over, and they're doing crafts and going swimming and painting and all kinds of things. She's got all kind of big plans. So, hey, Shay, how are you? Okay. Thanks, Patricia. Linda's like, it's a really pretty fabric, so I'm just going to order more just in case. I'll use it. Linda said her mom gave us stuff to do when she said she was bored. Okay, Fat Quarter Shop has the binding, the red flowers for $12 a yard plus shipping. Done, she said. Okay. Okay. All right, so I think we covered everything. So now let's take this guy down. And so in our last class, we added the backing using Stitch in the Ditch, right? After the class was over, I went ahead and went around the whole perimeter, and I want to show you. I went around the whole perimeter of the quilt and like sewed right along this edge, but like 1/8 of an inch, like barely in there. And I still use my like clear fish line monofilament thread. And I sewed right inside, at least I tried to, but this gave me a little bit of practice of sewing the scallops. You could see it looks white, but this is that monofilament thread. I sewed right, I tried to be either right on top or right inside of the stitch line that came when we were embroidering the quilting, which is in blue. It's a little harder to see. But I went around the whole quilt like that. What we're going to do now, and I made sure everything was trimmed and such. So it's all trimmed. It's all stitched in the ditch. And all I need to do now is trim this scallop before we start the binding. And so I'm trying to just cut right on that blue line that was originally, oops, I hit the camera. Let's see. Hope I didn't mess it up. Okay, there we go. I hit the camera with the scissors. Okay, it is beautiful, isn't it? I love this quilt. Okay. So I'm just cutting on that blue stitch line that we got on the embroidery machine when we were stitching the borders. And I'm trying not to cut through where my monofilament was, because I want that to just keep everything together for me. I probably should have did this before I started the live, but I was so focused on the binding. Mm. So doing that, you know, outlining those gave me a little bit of feeling out how it would be sewing those scallops, because it's going to be basically the same thing, but with the bias tape, with the binding tape, which of course is going to make it more complicated, but we're going to get through it. Okay, so that's the top. See if I can do this. I'm knocking everything over. Let's do the bottom. I still haven't finished my coffee from this morning. Okay. And then, Joanna, because you're so good at warning me of things, I need you to let me not forget to put the little straps. We got some little straps that we can sew into the binding that hang off the back of the quilt so that we can tie it onto the ladder. So if you see me starting to attach, we should probably do it now before we even start. Let's do that. I'm going to cut this, and then we're going to prepare the little straps and get them in place. Because I will forget. I know myself. Okay, last bit. All right. So scallops are cut. Let's talk about the pieces for the back. I put them somewhere so that I hope I would not forget. Okay. In the cutting instructions, they tell you that you need 4 of these pieces. And what we're doing with this is we are sewing them. So this is the bottom of the quilt. This is the top of the quilt. We are going to sew, we're going to, bring these in so it looks folded or whatever and sewn together. And these are going to get sewn in this way, actually, and hang and finish our binding. And when it's done, we'll be able to pull it up and it'll come out the top, look like from behind, and be able to tie onto a ladder. So there's some prep work we need to do. Here we go. So I probably should switch to navy thread because I am horrible at a straight top stitch. I'm going to do that, and we can iron some things as well. Let's do that. Okay, first we need to fold in one end This has so much happening here. Let's get this out. Okay, getting all that out of the way. And I did interface these because I was back when I interfaced everything. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We're gonna find out. So first thing we're gonna do is fold this in about a half an inch. That looks about right. Stay. Okay. See if that helps. The clapper makes a big difference. Makes things stay. Okay. So let's see. Linda says, would be cool to leave this up for Veterans Day to find pics of relatives in their uniforms to put inside the quilt. Yes, I have a picture of my pawpaw from World War II. We can put in here in his Army uniform. That would be good. And then Mr. Al, Chris's daddy, served. Okay. That would be really nice. Let's see. Sorry, I'm checking something real quick. Okay, so we got that done. What's the next? Next bit is fold the fabric right sides together. And I think that's just helping us make the crease. Open the fold and then fold in the raw edges to the center. So with this interfacing on here, it really needs a strong press in the clapper and everything to make it stay. So this is going to take me a little while. Sorry, I should have did this ahead of time. Again, I was so focused on the binding. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this one's done, and then we fold it one last time, and then we're going to stitch it. And I'm gonna need some clips to hold this in place. Yes. Okay, and it's okay that there's still a raw edge because that raw edge is gonna be sewn. That's gonna be the part that goes in the quilt. And so the nice pretty edge will be the part that's sticking out where you're gonna tie. Okay. Oh, did that. All right, let's do this. Hot, hot. I probably don't need to press it. Ooh, that's hot. All that much since I can just clip it and sew it after. And try and put them both at the same time. Okay. Okay. All right, one more. Okay. Now we are done with that, and we're gonna top stitch around this edge and this edge, and I think we come back down this edge too. Yeah. No, we just do the two edges, not, we don't have to worry about this. I guess because going down that, we'll fix that. Okay. So we'll top stitch both sides, both the folded side and the side that's kind of open. And I'm gonna do that in navy thread so I can hide my wonky stitching. And then we are going to tack it to the quilt itself. And I have lost my mouse. I could do this. Okay. Oops. I don't know what's happening. My computer is being cuckoo. Okay, there we go. No. I don't know. It's not letting me click on anything to change the camera. There we go. Bobbin. Navy bobbin. Check. Put that over there. And change my top thread. Yeah. Wait, I'll leave that there. Take this one off. Blue. Let me pick up these pins before I stick myself. Okay. Thank you. I see Gopher's mom said I've come so far on my quilting journey. Thank you. I really feel like I have. I went to I'm in this quilting class. Let me look at this. So I want to use my guide, but 1/4 inch is too much. I think I can move my foot to the right, and now I'll get a tighter. Yeah, I think that will work nicely. So let's see where it goes in. Yeah, it could be tighter. Let's see. It's going in right there. Isn't there a way I can shift? Here we go, left, right, shift. Plus 25. Plus 5. Is it moving the right direction? Yes, it is. Plus 75. That looks good. I'm trying to get it close to the edge. Okay, and I do want a locking stitch. Locking stitch. Okay, so not bad. Got that going down one edge. Now I need to go down this edge. Let me start from this side first. So if it makes a knot, it'll be on this side, not the other. Okay. Hey, my top stitching might be not so bad after all. I just jinxed myself. Watch. Now this last bit is real thick. Oops. Stay there. Okay. Okay. That's good. Didn't go all the way to the end, but that's okay. All right, first one done.
Hey, done.
No, I'm not done. Not even.
Hi, YouTube.
Not even close.
Hi, YouTube. Hi, YouTube.
Hey, get your hand out the camera.
Hi.
Lacey,
Comment down below.
Are y'all watching on YouTube? No.
You are doing
What kind of
a great job.
what kind of fans do you call yourselves? Not even watching.
No, well, I looked at our video.
I heard y'all doing y'all cover star.
Right here in the summer. Guys, comment something. We laugh all day. Like dumber, dumber. I'm back to the shop. Miss Carly,
What?
that looks like you have to be in school for a lot of time.
What you talking about?
That looks complicated.
It is complicated, but I'm not letting it.
You didn't have to do complicated.
I'm not letting it make me scared. I'm gonna get it done.
Somebody said you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
I don't know what they meant by dot, dot, dot. I don't know.
Okay. All right, y'all go play, girl. Oh, Lord, I pressed the button too fast.
Bye.
Bye, I love you.
What's up, YouTube? We're going back.
Bye-bye. Earlier, they walked in when I was doing my Zoom class, and they said, where's your video? We don't see nothing on YouTube. And I was like, this is a private class. It's not going to be on YouTube. And then I told them, I got another class I'm teaching today, though, that will be on YouTube. And they're like, okay, we're going to watch it. Guess what? They're not watching it. They wanted to put it on and comment. That's what they wanted to do. And then Elise was showing her friend one of my first YouTube videos where Elise was like 3. And she was the cutest little thing. It's one of the ones that is the funniest to me, because Elise was like 3, Abigail was like 8, might have been 4 and 8, something like that. And Abigail was being so goofy, and Elise was just being Elise. And my husband was out of town because he was hunting. So normally, like when I did my videos on Friday nights, he would watch the kids while I did my video. And he wasn't there. So I was on my own, and you could tell. It was a hot mess. And it's one of the ones that, like, I love watching just to reminisce how cute and little they were. But Elise was showing that to her friend. And it was adorable. Okay, last one. Oh, Lord. One thing with sewing while you're standing up, sometimes the pressure on the foot is not even. I think I'd do better pivoting and cut and sewing that bit at the top than leaving it open. Okay. Last stitch. Okay. It's deceiving because it's going slow while it's doing the locking stitch, so it's not affected by the pressure. Okay. Now these are really stiff. I hope I can even tie them. They're gonna work. Okay. Okay. Yeah, y'all see that? That's them. That's Elise on my old YouTube username commenting. That's what I was waiting for. knew she was going to do something stupid. Okay. All right. So I am just cleaning this up. These are going to be the nice edges that show.
You saw Lisa's comment.
Mm-hmm. Why is she saying this Elise?
I don't know.
Or is it supposed to be this is Elise?
I think.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I am
Oh,
cleaning.
there's a camera above you.
Yes. Okay, so now we are going to sew this. I got to move everything. Oh, camera went out.
Camera. Oh, camera.
Camera. Wrong camera. There we go.
Uh,
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to sew.
We are watching you live.
Thank you. Stop, Elise.
Hi.
We're going to sew these
I looked like I had a big head.
right here. So I think we'll do these like in the middle of this scallop.
Somebody said, whoops, late to the party, but I'm here now.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori. This is the best. That's the hand. Yeah.
Yes.
Hand.
Okay.
Hand.
I'm gonna like offset them a little bit. I'm not gonna try and like put them right on top of each other.
What are you making?
So these are gonna be where I can
Cookies.
Elise chill. This is gonna be where I can tie this when it's done. Oh,
What are you making?
this is a quilt that's gonna hang.
Look,
Where'd my
Madden,
clips go?
Madden, I thought this fits on Star Spaghetti.
Oh my goodness. Here it is.
Where's your chair? Oh, there it is. I'm still on it. Ooh, can I do a job?
Watch that iron is hot.
Watch. That's my job. That's the job. Watch.
The job is to watch
Watch
the
it.
iron. Not too closely. They're like literally watching the iron now. Okay.
Look, movies coming on the iron.
One time I saw a video and it was like, they were like the kid. It was like a 2-year-old. Stop. 2-year-old trying to play baseball and his dad said you have to keep your eye on the ball, and then he put his eye on the ball.
He grabbed his eye out of
No,
him.
he put his eye like this on you. Like,
He put it right on it.
yeah,
He listened.
true.
True.
Which I don't do that a lot.
Using his listening eyes.
Okay, so now,
That's a big quilt. You made all that?
yes,
I wouldn't have the time to do that.
it's taken
that's
a
your
lot of
job.
time. Taking a lot of time.
You should
So-
do a Q&A.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah,
y'all-
Mom, you should do a Q&A.
I do Q&As. Can you
No, you don't.
Can you let me teach
When's the
my
last
class?
time you did one?
I do one every month for my students.
Guys, y'all should ask me and Elise question.
Yeah, we'll answer.
Because we're bored right now. So, like, just ask us questions.
Oh.
Bored out of my mind.
I give you things to do.
No.
No, we're not bored anymore.
Yeah, we're not bored. We just want to.
Uh-huh. Okay, so where these are clipped, I'm just going to go back and forth and reinforce those there.
Mama,
Yes.
also, why watch the live on the iPad when you could go see the live live?
Y'all are a
Is
mess.
it possible to put one strap on each side?
Mom, is it?
Is it possible to put one strap on each side? I think so.
She thinks so.
However,
She thinks so.
it'd have to be long enough so that you can actually tie it.
Has to be long enough so you can actually tie it.
Because like what's going to
Ask
happen,
more questions, peoples.
what's going to happen with this is you're going to end up tying this around a
I
ladder.
can't see you. Your big hands are blocking.
No, it's not. It's right here. So you're going to end up tying these. If you only had one strap and you tying it like this, it needs to be longer. I'm worried these aren't long enough, even if for two of them.
Mom, did you see what
Or they're
I
so
read- what I
stiff.
said
I
in the
don't know if.
comments?
Yes, I saw what you said.
Ask
Okay.
questions.
Ask the question.
All right. Wish me luck.
Oh, ask the questions and write down the unicorn emoji. Unicorn emoji.
Move your
I said
fingers,
that, please.
Madden.
Peace out, bro. Peace out, bro. Bro. Like, bro. Do you hear that?
Oops, like to talk with it. Now here.
Madden. Madden. Yeah.
Oh,
We are watching a video.
Now I'm gonna backstitch that whole thing.
I did it.
Oh wait, no, that just backstitched one section. I guess I need to just keep going over it. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Real ones.
Oh, a sticker. A sticker.
Mom, can I
Let
put the
me go
sticker
forward.
on you? I think she meant place one strap on the front mirror. Mirror.
Let
me-
Oh.
I think she
I just
means
cut it
one
again.
strap on the front and mirror is on the what?
Oh, that's the lady who said you're doing a great job.
That's
Dot,
Miss
dot,
Joanna.
dot.
That's Miss Joanna. She's my friend.
Why did you say you're doing a great job? Dot, dot,
Because
dot.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, usually that means something else.
Usually it means like they're being sarcastic.
I don't know what's happening. Let's see.
Hear me, Mom?
Yes, you do.
Thank you,
Okay.
Joanna. Yes.
Thank you, Joanna. Yes.
Oh, Elsa said that.
Okay. So I've reinforced. Oh, jeez. Elsa, they like your name.
You slay.
Another day, another sleigh.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
Okay, so this is there.
Inappropriate.
Yeah, the sticker says a curse word on it.
Well, that's my sticker, not for you.
Oh.
Let me show my friends. I got this at my quilt shop.
Oh my God! Look how nice.
You kids are like, that is inappropriate.
Time.
What he says. This word?
Well,
Yes, yes. Well, okay, I need y'all to leave now.
Bye.
Go, go.
bye, peoples.
Bye, bye.
people.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Jesus. They are so loud. What am I doing? I sewed that. Oh, I was coming to see. I think she meant place one strap on the front and mirror it on the back. Yes, maybe. I think so. One strap on each side. I get you with that. Okay, now I understand. That's my sticker that Stacy said. Yep. I think that's all our stickers. All our stickers. Okay. But yeah, I saw that at the quilt store and I was like, I need this in my life. It's funny because I've been going to this class every Thursday. I went to my third class last night. And woo, going fast. Okay. And every time I'm there, like I'm buying stuff. And the first time, like I bought a bunch. And then the second time I was like, oh, I need this. And then the third time last night, like we finished class like kind of late. And so like everyone was leaving and I was like, I didn't want to hold her up and make her stay longer by looking around and wanting to get fabric cut and everything. So I just grabbed the pattern. I was like, okay, I need this. I'm like, I can't come in here and not buy something. So I got to show y'all the cute little pattern I bought. And she's actually, I wish I could go. She's teaching a class on it, I think, tonight and tomorrow. And they're going to make this project in the store. But Abigail's birthday party's tomorrow, so I can't go. So I was like, I'm just going to buy the pattern. I'll figure it out. I'm sure I can figure it out. I just enjoy the company and the going somewhere to make it to go to the class, you know what I mean? Okay, so these are there. Now let's go figure out and preparing, oops, the binding. I dropped a clip. There it is. Okay. But one thing we had, a lot of conversation about bias binding last night. And one of the things she said with the pattern I bought and the pattern they're doing in class is it requires bias binding tape because it has rounded corners. And I was like, well, I said, that's not a problem. I said, I made like 10 yards of it today. So whatever this is what color scheme that's going to be, this will be the binding tape for it. But look how cute. It's called the Atlas Zipper Case. and it's by Center Street Quilts. And you could see it's a little zippered bag to keep doohickeys in. And it's got a quilted front, and it doesn't require too much, but I haven't actually looked at the pattern yet, but I think I can do it. It's going to be kind of some new things for me, but I think I'll be able to just follow the instructions hopefully and get it. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, I had to get something. And she's ordering me a big ruler. Hopefully that will be there next week when I go. She got me that gypsy Turner thing that y'all recommended to me. She had ordered that, and then I bought it in the shop. So, all right. Now, let's start the binding. I want to, because I'm worried we're getting into very long class territory. The main thing I want y'all to see is the scallops and maybe even closing it. So I might just focus on this area and then finish the rest off camera, but I want y'all to see it in action. So I got my binding tape. Let me pick this up before I lose it. I think you're gonna roughly need 200-ish. That would give you like overage, 200 inches of binding tape to cover this whole thing, give you overage, take into account the scallops and all of that. Now, I think I know what I'm doing here, but correct me if I'm wrong. For my quilty friends, I'm putting the raw edge with the same raw edge of the quilt. Now, one thing I thought about, because I might have some wonky cuts, what I can do to make sure that this stays constant is I have this beautiful 1-inch border. So if at any point I got some divots here and I don't have a nice straight edge to line this up with, I'm lining up this folded edge with my border. So that's how I know I'll stay on point. So first I want about 10 inches of extra. Okay, so that's 10 inches. So I'm actually starting here. I'm going to leave all that for overage. And I think I'm just going to pull this off as I go, but maybe not because it's all twisty. Okay. So, wrong way. If I start this here, that's where I'm going to start. And I'm going to stitch a 1/4 inch. I'm using my guide foot. And then I'm going to get here, and this is where we're going to start turning things and take our time and go slow and get this rounded corner here, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through all of these scallops. We shouldn't have to fold anything. We're going to stitch this a little bit over once we get here, and then we should be able to turn it and come this way. We're going to try to keep everything flat. We're going to try not to get any puckers in our stitches and go along. Then once this is sewn, we'll be able to fold it over. But what we might have to do is cut where these bits are, cut into them a little bit more. And so that we'll be able to lay the folded bits in those corners, and they're going to go nicely. Does that all make sense? Let me know. All right. So let's go get this done. And I guess I'm just going to leave that navy thread because this thread color doesn't matter, right? This is going to get hidden and not be seen. Maybe I'll just switch to white just to be safe. Okay. And then I was thinking for the actual, when we fold over the binding and sewing it so that it goes through the back, I'm going to go back to my invisible thread on the front so that it's not as noticeable. But the invisible thread is kind of still visible on that dark navy blue fabric, so it might not do me much good. Okay, I need to fix my stuff because I moved everything around. So I want to go back to this. Okay, and that shifted me back. So I'm right in the middle. And yeah, okay, let me check any. Oh, I don't have it on the right camera. A good thing I came back here. Okay. So yay, Sharon got hers done. Good for you, girl. We're trying over here. Trying. Let's see how far I get. Okay. Okay. I think everything looks good. All right, so this is the easy part. Going to the end here. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all with the binding tape, after you've cut your continuous strips, you do iron them in half, and that's how you want them to be. I did forget to mention that. Okay, so now we are at the edge here, and this is when I'll be using my fingers a lot and my stiletto to like keep everything flat, but keep it going. And then I'm going to be turning and shifting, and it's going to be a slow process. So that's why I'm like, maybe we'll just get through this scalloped bit, and I might actually finish everything after the live. So y'all are not sitting through all this boring slowness. And I want y'all to see it. Okay. Okay, I'm getting where I'm not I'm getting closer to the edge. I'm not a 1/4 inch away. All right, so right now I'm gonna go a little bit beyond the point, just a couple stitches, so that when I turn it, I'm making my way back to the next curve. It's giving me enough. I don't know what I did. Okay. Okay, so I'm doing this and make sure it's not twisted. Okay. I feel like there's gonna have to be a crease right here in order to get these points. It's like trying not to be one, but let's see, only if I come this way one. No. I'm able to go around the curve without making a crease, but when I get to the point where the actual scallop, the point is, I'm struggling. I don't know if I'm just not getting it to the right point. And then I'm shifting this way, and it's hard not to make a crease right there when that happens. And I thought if I went an extra stitch that way past the point, that would help prevent it, but it looks like it's actually making it worse. This is tedious. I will say that. I don't think I'll be making scalloped edges on that table runner I was talking about making with the script leftover back material. Okay, let me stop it early, not go past. That's a little better. Yeah, okay, I think I got the points going better if I stop early, not late. I think I was thinking. Okay. Whew, I think I was holding my breath that whole time. That was tedious. Oh, and it's all, I'm sorry, it's out of focus because of this. I'm just going back and seeing that now. Sorry about that. Okay, so I made it around the corner. Let me go down a little bit and inspect what we did and how it looks and how I can turn it over. Okay. Let's just go to the other end and then okay, I'm gonna stop there, back stitch. And we can pick up. Let's go look and see how we did, how I did, and how it's going to look when we turn it over. And oops. Okay, Joanna said by the time I get this all done, I'll be a little more confident. Okay, so this is what I did. I started here, went, and then I went around these corners. So not so bad. Probably got some wrinkles here, but the real thing we want to see is how is this going to look when I turn this over. And oh, I forgot, we need to clip. They said you don't want to clip into the actual binding stitch. So I can see. That's hard to see. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I just clipped into those divots without actually cutting into the stitching where the binding was right there. Okay, so now we turn this over. And I already don't like this. I feel like I came down too much. I might resew this area. Where are my little scissors here? I could see the stitching right here. I think that don't belong there. Okay, so I need to fix that section. And restitch right here. Okay, but besides that, let's look at the rest. Not bad. Oh, we got a lot of threads here. And see, turn my iron back on. What we can do is press this. And these just kind of go in. There's no like mitering happening. It just kind of dents and goes in. So but I need to fix this spot right here. Let me go fix that. And then okay. There it is. Okay. Now there's a section where it turns. Okay, let me back stitch. Hopefully that came out better. Okay. I just got to get these stitches out. Okay, but I think that's better. So no, actually I need to come down further. My tweezers are missing again, thanks to probably Abigail. Okay, I need to come more right here. Okay, that's better. So I'm pulling it probably too hard, which is why I'm seeing the stitching. Okay, thank you, Elsa. I'm trying. This is making me sweat. All right, let's see how we can do. Let's pressing this out. And then I'm going to try to glue set the back. My husband is calling me. Okay. So now use some clips. And I think I can go ahead and attach the back to just this section so y'all can see it without messing up all the front. Tell me if I'm right in my thinking in that. If I just go and do the front stitching to get the back on there, right now that doesn't affect any of the rest of the binding, right? I can still pick up where I left off down here and go around the rest, and leave this alone because I still got to join the other end here. Because I just want to show y'all this, because I know this is what I would want to see watching a tutorial. And the rest is normal, going around the edges and then joining the binding, which I always struggle at anyway. Y'all probably don't want to watch me do that. Okay. All right, so there it is with the clips going around the back. So what I'm going to do now is on the top section, remember we got our straps coming down here. That's just going to get sewn in. No problem. But what I think will help things with having all these clips is I'm going to try glue basting, is that what they call it? Glue basting them and setting it with the iron so that it stays at the machine. You're jumping up and down and dancing happening right outside my door. And that's going to hold it. Yay, thank you, Urta. What I'm a little bit worried about is this isn't going down as far in the back as I thought it was going to. Might have been a little too generous in my stitching on the front. So I got to make sure I actually catch it when I go on the back. Or I might trim this a little bit. Let's see. Because I can already see some spots where when I fold it over, it's not covering up this stitching right here. Let me trim that a little bit. Yeah, no, that's better. Right here too. So probably what I'll do is I'll end up going and trimming anything that I find it's not going down far enough. And making sure it's going to cover up, it's going to catch it when I stitch from the front to the back. Okay, let's just go through the motion of using the stitch in the ditch foot from the front. And so right along this and see if I'm catching the back here, if I have enough. Okay, let's just do this little section here and see how it goes. Yeah, I saw some spots where it doesn't look like it's going to be covered, Joanne, which is why I want to test. I want to test it, and then if it doesn't work, I'll either hand stitch it in those sections where it doesn't catch, or I will. Well, by the time I sew, it'll be too late. Yeah, so I'll just have to hand tack it in those spots. Okay, I need this guy, stitch in the ditch, and white thread for the back is good, but not for the front. I'm gonna try my invisible thread. Where did I put it? Or should I do navy blue? Let's try navy blue. That might be better. Okay. So question for my quilty friends. Am I still doing the 2mm length for attaching the binding, or should I switch to 2.5? Let me know what you think. Okay, so we're going to start with this point here. Actually, might not be able to do that. Let's see. Let's start at this point. Yeah, Perfect. Okay, I got my needle in right where the two meet and my stitch in the ditch done. Yeah. So it says, yeah, I can hand stitch anything that I missed. That's what I'm gonna do. Don't forget to change the white bobbin thread so it's less obvious than the blue. Either should be okay. All right, I left the white on the back because I'm hoping the white is going to catch here. I'm thinking that's going to be less obvious on the back white bobbin. I did navy blue for the front so that hopefully it hides in here. Now, if I do catch any of my thread in my binding, it will be obvious, but I feel like even the clear thread is obvious here because I did it all around and you can see it clear as day like white. Like it wasn't clear. So let's try navy blue and see how it works. I'm just doing a small section. All right, my needle is in. Is everything there and not blurry? My needle is in. I'm just gonna go slow. Let's do a back stitch. Okay. And I'm just taking my time and going. Right in between that little crease. My stitch in the ditch foot is really not helping me at all because I'm turning so much. It's only going to be helpful when I'm going down the straight sides. In fact, it's almost in my way. No, I can't do that, can I? Needles there. I have to cut everything. No, I'm not doing it. Okay, leave it alone, Carly. All right. Very tedious, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. That's what I need to keep telling myself. Okay. Can't see. There we go. Okay, round in the corner, and then we'll quit and see how it looks. Oh, I went in my binding. That's okay. All right, now the stitch in the ditch foot is actually helpful. Okay, I'm gonna quit there. Back stitch. I don't even know if I basted that area down. I don't think I went that far. Yeah, okay, that was good. So I could see some spots I missed, but that's when I'll practice my, what do you call that stitch that people do their hand binding with? It's a whip stitch or something like that. But for the most part, okay, I started here and it caught it right on the edge. Here, there's a little spot where I missed. This was a spot too, which I knew I was going to miss that one. This missed. And then it picked up right here. So yeah, I'm just going to go grab those little spots that it missed and hand stitched. But look at the front. This is what matters because nobody's going to see the back. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? You can't see my blue thread. It's hidden in the ditch. This could have been folded over more. Okay, I see. So overall, I am happy with it. It is going to take a lot more time to do though, and take my time. So I will not finish this today. I am going to put this on my to-do list for next week. So I think that's where I am going to stop today, because the rest is rinse and repeat of everything of what I've shown you. Let me close this. I am going to finish adding the binding all along where it's sewn to the front, like so, all around, go around to the other scallop. And then when that's done, I'm gonna fold it all over and glue baste it to the back and clip it where I need it. And then I will go and do exactly what you just saw me do and stitch in the ditch right where the binding meets the border. And then that should attach the back of the binding to the quilt. And then if I miss any spots, I'll just go hand sew those in. Okay? How does everybody feel? Do you feel like you can accomplish this? Because you can. You really, really can. It's tedious. It is. This is probably the least fun of it, but it is going to be so stinking cute when it's done. And so I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to go buy a ladder, and I will take a picture and show everyone what it looks like once it's on the ladder and all the binding and everything is done. I'll go this way. There we go. So thank y'all so very much for joining me for this sew along. The scalloped binding is very cute. It is very, very cute. It's just going to take some tedious time, but that's okay. It's totally worth it, because I mean, look how cute that is. Isn't that cute? Adorable. So yay. All right. So this is it. Last class for the sew along. Finish your binding. If you have any questions or need help along the way, by all means, please reach out to me at support@carlybell.com, and I will do my best to help you. The homepage for the sew along stays on my website, and all of the replays for today's class, for all of the classes for this sew along, are available on my YouTube channel and the sew along homepage on my website, so that you can go back and rewatch any of the classes anytime. And if you do finish this quilt, I would love, love, love to see pictures. So please post them and tag me in them. I have a general free Facebook group. It's Carly Bell Beginner Embroidery and Silhouette Craft Group. And I'm also on Instagram at Carly Bell. Tag me, take pictures. I want to see. This is definitely a beast of a project, and I'm super proud. And I will be even more proud once I finish this binding. But thank you to everyone who joined me in this whole sew along process. I appreciate y'all so much. Thanks for all of your tips and tricks along the way as well, and helping me grow as a quilter. I'm very, very proud. I can't wait to show my quilt class friends what I made. So that's it for today. Also, this is the next sew along is not going to be I'm planning, I think, August, after the kids go back to school, as you can tell for obvious reasons today, where they keep barging in. And with them being home for the summer, it's much, much harder for me to work. So I'm going to be taking some time off from YouTube videos over the next couple months, but I will be still having classes for my VIP Sip and Stitch Squad, the membership group that I have. We still will have our Zoom classes every month. And if you're in my From Start to Stitch course, we'll still have our live Q&A sessions over the summer. So thanks so much. Again, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I know this can be tedious and boring at times, but we're all gonna get it done, and we're all gonna show pictures. Okay. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.